There's no better place if you're a college baseball recruiting coordinator to recruit than Jupiter at the World Wood Bat Association World Championship. Hi there, folks. My name is Daron Sutton, and welcome to our unique show. This is Perfect Game College Baseball on Perfect Game TV. We'll chat with two really talented recruiting coordinators. One of them, Brad Wilkerson, played in the big leagues for the Expos. You remember him, an All-American 3 times at Florida. He now recruits and is an assistant coach for the team at Jacksonville. Brad will join us along with Trip Couch. He is at the University of Arizona. He's been all over the country doing just this, recruiting fine athletes. At one point, a scout for the Arizona Diamondbacks. That's our show. Why not do it here? This is a recruiting coordinator's dream here at Jupiter. It's Perfect Game College Baseball. Let's get it started. Perfect Game College Baseball, Jupiter, Florida, Trip Couch, and I'm very comfortable with Arizona people. Apologies to everybody else from the 49 states. That's my home state. That's his home state now. Recruiting coordinator working with Chip Hale for the Arizona program. So for many years you've come, look, a professional scout for the Diamondbacks, working on multiple staffs as a recruiting coordinator and an assistant coach. You get an event like this where so many players, Trip, come together, they play one another. It's high-level baseball. Is that beneficial for you? I mean, is it something for you and all that do your job? How beneficial is it to have an event like this?
I think it's great because to me, it's always been kind of the culmination of the recruiting season. You know, these guys play in their high school season and then they go straight into summer travel ball. And, you know, they kind of get a little breather at the end of summer travel ball. And then this is like the big event at the end of the recruiting year for them. You know, our quiet period starts after this Sunday, and it's kind of the last time they get to play on the big stage before they go into their high school season. And so to me, it's always just been a culmination of, you know, a lot of events, a lot of things, and a lot of great players showing up at one spot.
Did you kind of feel that way when you were a scout as well?
Absolutely. You know, when I was a scout, we actually started a team, the Texas Scout Team Yankees, years ago, and had some great players, great people, great big leaguers, and but it was then a kind of a culmination to get to see them against the best. You know, the best all would come together here, and you know, again, they kind of were rejuvenated after a long summer, and you know, so you kind of got to see guys who were actually trying to compete and win something. It more than just a showcase. It was about trying to win.
It's interesting, when I think about your program, Arizona, I think about a player becomes a coach, then becomes a big league manager, and then is coaching in the big leagues like Chip Hale, right? He has this wonderful journey in professional baseball, and he's on a respectable staff with Detroit, with A.J. Hinch, and he opts to leave to go to college baseball. What does that say about the choice that he made, how much it meant to him to come back? Obviously, you're now working with him and helping to lead these young men, but that's a bold choice that he made. I applaud it. I think it's wonderful. And when he made it, what did you think when you first heard about it?
You know, Chip, you know, we've been friends for 20 years. We met in 1999 with USA Baseball. Our time with the Diamondbacks overlapped some. And so we've just kept that relationship. And Chip's always had in the back of his mind the opportunity to coach at his alma mater. I mean, you know, Jerry Kendall, you know, is like a father figure to Chip. I think Chip was probably one of Coach Kendall's favorite players, and Chip's a Wildcat through and through. And, you know, he's lived in Tucson for 30 years, but I think the biggest thing beyond just coming back to his alma mater was he genuinely wants to help young people. And I think this was a way he felt like he could make a difference. And, you know, he's an incredible leader. He's extremely positive in a very negative game. I think college baseball lends itself to, you know, we play a shorter schedule than the pro game, and so people are quicker to give up on guys sometimes. And Chip's he's a believer in his players. I think they feel that. He's an uplifter of his players. And so I think that was the biggest thing, was he loves the University of Arizona like no other, and he truly enjoys and wants to help young people.
One of the more moving things I heard a player say last year, and it certainly is a compliment to you and your staff, was when Daniel Susak, at the end of the regionals, said, I made 2 really good decisions in my baseball world in the last year. and it was coming to Arizona. So that'd be the last couple of years. It was choosing to come to Arizona, and the second one was choosing to stay at Arizona with the coaching change. What a compliment to you guys, your staff. I mean, this is a first-round pick. This is a guy that's probably going to be catching in the big league someday. That had to mean a lot to you.
It means more than you could ever know. Selfishly, we've used that quite a bit to, share with people because, nobody asked Daniel to say that. And Daniel and his family are just wonderful people that embraced us as new coaches coming in a year that he was going to get, be a draft pick. And, for him to trust us and then to, at the end, unsolicited after, a really tough loss. And I watched the tears in Daniel's eyes, as we took him out of his last game, and he knew it was going to be his last game at Arizona, and you could tell it was real for him. This wasn't a guy just playing it out to the end, but it meant the world to us because, again, nobody asked him to say that, and for him to have the thought process in that emotional moment to say something like that, it's one of the more powerful things I've had said in my career, that from one of your players.
So this is multiple years you've been doing this and been recruiting at a high level for multiple years, but these are your first group of guys that are coming to campus, right? As an Arizona recruiting coordinator, how's it going? You guys are getting them in there, you're getting to know, you kept a lot of players in state, by the way, but how's it going with some of your freshmen?
It's good. They're young, and we've played a few inter squads where it's a unique team. I've never been on a team like this where we have a lot of older guys. We have 7 returning starters. We lost Daniel, we lost Tanner Otremba, and those are 2 guys that are hard to replace. About 195 hits between the 2 of them, and but all the other guys are back, and some of those guys have been to Omaha, and so we play once a week, the older guys versus the younger guys, and it's fun to watch because the older guys beat up on them a little bit right now because they don't mess up the game quite as much sometimes as the young guys that, get excited and, may not pay as much attention to detail. But, guys like Mason White, I think, are going to be guys that, people hear about a lot down the road. We just have a lot of freshmen that are going to be really good players in the program. Brought in a few junior college players. Kiko Romero from Central Arizona has come in and done a great job. Some JUCO pitchers. So, we've brought in a group. We'll continue building on that and hopefully building on our momentum. But yeah, the young guys are doing well. They're like the young guys at every big program in America right now. Their heads are spinning. The world's moving 1,000 miles an hour for them. But, they couldn't be playing for a better head coach that understands that is there to help pick them up when, it seems like it's spinning out of control for them.
We're not supposed to be biased as broadcasters, but I have a favorite player. Since he was a PG All-American, I've enjoyed Chase Davis. Understanding who he is as a young man, knowing about his athletic soccer journey as a young player, the family, some of the challenges he went through as a younger man, and now seeing him grow up. He's still with you guys, Chase Davis. How has he evolved from your perspective?
I've seen Chase. I tell people all the time, if Chase improves this year as much as he did last year, it'll be incredible because, Chase he's a great example of a kid that came in with a lot of fanfare behind him, and he didn't play a lot his freshman year. I think he had 30 at-bats, and Chip talks about there's a video we show people when they come in, and it's somebody hitting a home run, maybe Holgate, and Chase is in the dugout, and he's the loudest cheer, the most excited guy. And you know what? He stuck with us in the transition, and Chip really showed belief in him. And over the course of the year, you saw what he did. I think he had 19 home runs, hit close to 300 Team USA invite, and he's just really matured as a person and a player. And I'll tell you, the other thing he's done an incredibly good job of this year is helping the young guys. Nice. He's been very encouraging to them. When some of those guys make mistakes, he's not the guy that jumps on them and beats them. He's like, hey, come on, you're all right. And so I think it says a lot about Chase and his character. And I do. I think he's overcome a lot of challenges over time. And, it's going to serve him well moving forward. And he's just, I hope he has as much improvement and has this kind of year this year, obviously for our sake, but for his sake, because he's really bought in and done a nice job of doing the things we've asked him to do.
Yeah, I always marvel. You're a perfect game All-American. Some of the guys you play with are off their first, second, third round picks. They're off to pro ball. You go D1, but you sit. But you have a good attitude the whole time. And then you hit the next year. I've always admired how he's handled himself, and I look forward to it. I look forward to seeing you guys a lot, Tripp. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me, and, bear down, go Wildcats.
Well said, well said. When we come back, a conversation with a man who had an explosive career in the big leagues. It's Brad Wilkerson. He now, like Tripp, is a recruiting coordinator. But for Jacksonville, his story on Perfect Game College Baseball on Perfect Game TV. It was a long and successful major league career and a great college career for Brad Wilkerson at Florida, but he now is a recruiting coordinator at Jacksonville, spends time with us now. Good to reconnect, my friend. What does an event like this do for a recruiting coordinator? Help? More challenges? Chasing all over the place? In other words, you have all these players back there. It's got to be an interesting time for you.
It's very interesting, but I think the biggest thing for us as a program is we're kind of evaluating our guys that we already have committed. I'm looking at some younger guys. It seems like this event over the years has become a little younger. So I am evaluating some of the 24s and 25s that are here. But it's great to see our guys compete against the best competition in the country. And that's what I want to see, is how they're competing against them and how they're not taking themselves so seriously when they fail against some of the best competition, and how they get along with their teammates and stuff like that. But it's a really good event to really evaluate where our guys are.
With your depth in this game at every single level, what's the best part about being a recruiting coordinator? What do you like about it the most?
Well, I think most importantly, just giving my knowledge and my sense back to the kids. And really, sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes you get that no. You don't get a yes all the time, but I really try to evaluate and tell them what's important to me and our program and Coach Hayes and what kind of player we want and what I've been through a little bit too. I don't use the Major League Baseball card very much at all, but we talk about, certain things that are going to happen in your career, and a big part of it is social and an environment that you want to come and spend the next 3 or 4 years of your life and grow into a young man. I love talking about that kind of stuff.
Mid-major athletics it's really an amazing concept these days, where games are being won, basketball and baseball, and that's the level at which you guys play. For you, it's got to be unique to see players not only pick you, but maybe pick you over at times at Power 5 and say, hey, because for me, this is the right place. I want to go play for Brad, Coach Hayes, I want to go play for Chris. That's got to be rewarding when you have someone select Jacksonville, because they want to grow, not only as a player, but as a man.
Mm-hmm. I think it's huge. I mean, I say the most underrated part of what I talk about in recruiting is the social part.
Yeah.
They're going to come, they're going to get an opportunity to play. They're going to play against some of the best competition this country has to offer, and we do that. But also, just like I talked about, the environment that we create to let them be themselves and grow into that young man and really compete against themselves each and every day in the classroom, on the field, and off the field when they're hanging out with their teammates and their friends.
How has this concept changed in the world in which you work? And recruiting athletes, making decisions on athletes, but then putting the portal in the mix a little bit, and opening things up. You'll have younger athletes say at times, hey, if I'm a 500 guy, it's maybe tough for me to find a place to play now because of the portal. How do you think the portal has affected college baseball as a whole?
Well, I think it seems like it's getting a little bit older. I think our program, we're trying to stay within the development part, and that's what we're trying to sell, is you're going to come in here and play in the fall and try to earn playing time in the spring, and then if you don't get as many at bats, go in the summer and develop, and keep plugging away and keep going with the process. I think the portal, we used it a little bit this year because we had needs. That's not our goal to use the portal each and every year. I've been recruiting JUCO, I've been recruiting high school, and hopefully the portal is the last option we look at for us.
I want to ask you about a couple of returning players. You remind me how to say Blake Deluminaire. Did I say
Delamalier.
Gosh, Blake, I'm so sorry.
I hope I did that right.
Blake Delamalier. Blake, I'm sorry if I got it wrong. Coach got it right. So I look back at last year. I see a 386 on base. I see 19 stolen bases. He's with you again. Who is he as a player?
He's a 5-tool athlete.
Okay.
He is an athlete that can go out there. He can run. Yeah, I call him a Clydesdale. I mean, he just looks different than guys. He looks like I don't want to embarrass him, but a Greek god, but he can run, he can throw, he hits for power. It's just, having those at bats where it really clicks for him. I think this could be the year for him because he is a draftable guy, and that's what they look like at the next level, guys like him. So I'm really excited about what the season's going to bring for him and some of the improvements we're trying to make in his approach and how he goes about his game.
I see similar numbers with the returnee Chase Malloy, a senior, 392 on base, 19 stolen bases. Similar numbers. Who is he?
He's a little ball player. He's son of Marty Malloy that is a grinder himself. He coaches in the minor leagues. Yeah. He's a coach's son. He's so awesome because he'll go 0 for 4 and the next day you'll never know what happened. He comes every day to play. He's that leader by example kind of kid. He's going to come every day and give it his best. He's going to work at it. He's going to steal bases. He's our leadoff guy. He's going to get on base, and he's going to set the tone for our whole team.
Does it mean a lot? You had, as we've talked about to our viewers, you had a very successful major league and professional journey, but you had Tyler Vogel going the 12th round to San Francisco. You had Mason Adams going the 13th to the Sox. Do those days, those phone calls, that news mean a lot to you?
It does. I mean, it's an exciting time for these guys, and some guys may sign that you think might come back,
sure,
and some guys that sign that need to sign, and we just try to give them the information and just tell these kids this is what it's going to be like and this is what you need to prepare for. And I think Coach Hayes has done a great job even before I got there of preparing these guys for the next level. And you see guys that he's got 3 guys in the big leagues right now, and it's an exciting time for those guys. We always want those guys. We don't want to hold them back. Their dreams, their goals, that's what they're trying to achieve. I'm excited about our class coming in this year. We've had, a couple guys drafted coming in, so we're excited about this class coming in as well.
So it's interesting, the as we talk about the evolution of athletes and players as you see it go on. For you, if you were to have a half dozen young men sit down in front of you and I say, hey, by the way, guys, recruiting coordinator, it's like a scout basically. What advice would you have for these young men? You're coming out here, you're going to watch them play. Beyond play well, what advice do you have?
Well, I think just stick to the process. I mean, it's a long process. You got to find the place that's right for you and your development, and it's tough. It's a really tough process. You're getting recruited by, there's probably 300, 400 coaches here,
sure,
that are trying to get you to buy into what they're trying to do, and just work hard every day. I think we lose sight of getting better every day, and we get caught up in the process of recruiting too much with these kids for them. They just need to focus on getting better every day, and things good are going to happen for them.
I want to be careful when I mention this, man, because through your time as a pro, through your time in the big leagues, I'm sure you've had a really strong group of mentors, baseball men and baseball mentors. But one of your first was Andy Lopez, and we watched him come out to the PAC. I call games with him still, and he did great things. Tell me a little bit of how much of you is Andy, how much you learned from him as a coach, and how much you keep in touch with him now.
I keep in touch with him a little bit. Probably should a little bit more, but he always says, call me when you need me. Well, I don't need him too much, but I'll keep in touch with him. But he's awesome. He's always able to talk when I call him. He always looks forward to talking to me. He gives me a lot of credit for what he did in his career for some reason, but he's awesome. And I take stuff every day that I do from him because I think he really kept it simple. He was hard on us. He made us accountable to what we were doing on a daily basis, but he also let us go play the game and made it real simple. It was be on time and do things right. And I know that do things right's a little broad, but you knew what he was talking about when he talked about do things right. And that's kind of the things that I look at each and every day when I talk to our players and kind of carry over the philosophies on a day-to-day basis.
Thank you, man. It's great to reconnect with you.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Brad Wilkerson, and also Trip Couch at Arizona. Perfect Game College Baseball coming to you from Jupiter at the World Wood Bat Association World Championship. We'll see you next week with 2 or 3 great more coaches and great stories, always right here on Perfect Game College Baseball.